You believe we need this. Why do we need this surveillance?
This program is absolutely essential. To start off with, it's prevented more than 50 attacks against the United States and/or our allies overseas. And during the entire 12 years of the program, there was not one instance of any abuse. It was thoroughly examined last year by the Senate Intelligence Committee. It's never been abused. All the phone numbers are kept up under lock and key. There's no access to private information going. There is no listening in on phone calls through this program. There is no looking at people's emails under this program. The fact is, all it does is collect the phone numbers as to who's making calls to be used later on only under very specific circumstances. Last year it was used a total of 300 times. 300 times out of all the millions of phone calls that were made. It was used, though, and it's been very effective. For instance, it was this program that stopped the attack on the subway system in New York back in 2009. So right there, you saved hundreds of lives. And again, there's not been one abuse in 12 years. I think it was yesterday's vote.
Right.
It should never have been that close. It shouldn't have been.
And it was. Let me talk about that in a moment. I've heard you talk about the 2009 attack that was thwarted. I have never heard what you just said about a dozen plots being stopped or thwarted. Is that the case?
There's been General Alexander showed there's been, I think, a total of 52 plots, both here and overseas, that have been stopped by the NSA surveillance program. 52 different attempted plots have either been stopped, thwarted, intercepted through this program. Oh,
interesting. I haven't heard that number before. If it had failed, are we less safe? Can you make that argument?
I absolutely make it less safe. For instance, we would have not stopped the subway attack in New York back in 2009. And right there, you would have had hundreds of people being killed. Yes, we'd be less safe. This is absolutely essential. You know, after September 11th, when you had the 9/11 Commission and the other investigatory bodies, they would have officials in from the NSA, and they said, look at this, prior to 9/11, all these phone calls were being made. Why didn't you connect the dots? Well, what this program does, it enables the NSA to connect the dots, and it's an integral program working with the FBI, working with all our foreign partners, put it together, and it's part of the composite we have, which has basically prevented any large-scale successful attack against the United States in 12 years.
You know, the rub here, people think it's funky because they don't know why you have to store all of our material for so long. I know you're making the argument about terrorism in 2013, but what about 2023? What about 2033? You know, what is the excuse and the potential for abuse then?
Well, first of all the records have to be purged after 5 years, so you can only maintain the records for 5 years. After 5 years, those records are destroyed. And as far as an excuse, I mean, it's not really an excuse. You know, the thing is, you have to find the needle in a haystack. You can't find the needle if there's no haystack. We have to have all the numbers there, so that if a phone number from overseas, a terrorist phone call, a terrorist phone number comes up, you use that number, you drill it into this metadata of millions and millions of phone numbers we have and phone calls, and that's how you find out who they've been talking to in the U.S. and who those people have been talking to. And that was very essential in the 2009 attempted subway attack in New York. If you don't have all the numbers, you might as well have none of the numbers.
Okay, I have one more question on this. It was a tight vote, and a lot of Republicans voted for. I mean, you know, you and Speaker Boehner and Nancy Pelosi voted against it. I mean, that was like the triad that helped defeat this, but it may come up again. Will it pass? Will it pass next time?
I would certainly hope not. To me, it would be shameful. It would be dangerous. It would put Americans at risk. It would bring us back to September 10th, 2001. I was there. I mean, I lost well over 150 people in New York on September 11th. I never want to go through that again. And if you have a program which has never been abused and which has saved lives, to me, it would be surrender for us to be giving up that program.
All right, Peter King, thank you, the Republican from New York. Thank you, sir, for coming back today.